Hi guys. Unfortunately, I guess, but kinda, but not fun stuff right now. But it's math time. I want to reiterate my 3 original discoveries in thought, because I've done it on YouTube before, and it seems to blur a lot of the time I do it. Like last time I did it, it all was blurry and hazy, and I don't know what happened on YouTube then. But I just thought it deserved another take. So I'll just try to get this through quickly. We have more fun stuff ahead, but right now it's math time. So first of all, I'd like to reiterate what I call Wiseman's theorem is the relationship of the 13, how do I do this here? The 9, I'll get this up here. 13, wait, let me do this a little better. Okay. You have 9, 13, and then you have 3 and 4. That's just the numbers. And if you multiply these out, 9 times 3 is 27. 13 times 3 is 39. And 27 plus 39 is 66. And when you do 4, 9 times 4 is 36. 13 times 4 is 52. And the total is 88. And as you probably know, because I've said it before, 66 is the number of books in the Bible. 27 is the number of books in the New Testament. 39 is the number of books in the Old Testament. That makes 66, which is a double number. The digit repeated twice. And then 36 is the number of black keys on a keyboard. 52 is the number of white keys on a keyboard, and the total is 88 keys on a keyboard. Again, another double number or digit repeated twice. That's Wiseman's theorem. I got the 9 and the 13 came to me actually geometrically. I was playing on the ground with pennies. Oh, that sounds like a real sane thing to do. And I noticed that if you take pennies in a square formation, you get 9 of them. And I thought that must mean something. That's where I got the 9. For the 13, I was playing with a triangle configuration. You have 4 here, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then make another one on each, make a Star of David type of thing. And that takes 13 pennies. And I thought there must be something to that. And when I thought of 9 and 13, I thought of multiplying them and all this other stuff, and I didn't know what I meant to think of. And then I figured out about the Bible thing, and then I thought, what if it's true of the keyboard having 88 keys? And I figured it out theoretically first, and then I thought, that would be cool if it were true. And I ran to our piano. We had a really cool piano in our house. It had a whole room just for our piano. And I counted up, and sure enough, I was right about the keys. They added up right. 36 black keys, 52 white keys, 88 total keys. I thought of it theoretically before I even tested it, and sure enough, I was right. That's Wiseman's theorem. Wiseman's formula is a third-dimensional application of the Pythagorean theorem taken to the third dimension. Wiseman's theorem is basically that if you have x cubed plus y cubed plus z cubed equals r cubed, Wiseman's theorem is that works for x equals 3, because 3 cubed plus, and then y equals 4, 4 cubed plus, and then z equals 5, 5 cubed equals 6 cubed. That's Wiseman's formula, because it turns out 3 cubed is 27, 4 cubed is I'm making sure I get this right, 64. 5 cubed is 125, and the total is 216, which is 6 cubed. I just figured that out by just thinking it might be true. What if that's true? Because Pythagoras said that x squared plus y squared equals r squared works for x equals 3, and then y equals 4 and z equals 5, because 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. 9 plus 16 equals 25. Yeah. So I thought, what if that works for 3 dimensions? Why not? And I tried it, and sure enough, it works. That's Wiseman's formula, that 3 cubed plus 4 cubed plus 5 cubed equals 6 cubed, because it works out mathematically. And there's geometric implications of that. You know, like if you have in 3-dimensional space, you have x, y, and z out of the page. If you go 3 here, 4 here, and 5 out of the page, the total distance from that point to the origin would be 6. It's like just like in a right triangle, in 2-dimensionally, that's true of Pythagoras. 3, 4, and then this is 5. Well, then 3, 4, 5 out of the page would be 6. It's 3-dimensional that way, a Pythagoras application. And also Pythagoras would say the area of a circle of radius 3 plus the area of a circle of radius 4 would be equal to the area of a circle of radius 5. Wiseman's theorem formula would say that the volume of a sphere of radius 3 plus the volume of a sphere of radius 4 plus the volume of a sphere of radius 5 would equal the volume of a sphere of radius 6. So it's all 3. It takes the Pythagorean theorem to the 3rd dimension, which no one besides me has done, except that I looked it up in a medieval math book at Sprague Library at Harvard College, and it turned out I found it in like a book that was like 1,000 years old. It was a medieval math book. It said 3 cubed plus 4 cubed plus 5 cubed equals 6 cubed. It's a medieval math book. The only time I thought of it first, but then I found it after the fact in that book, and either that was forgotten or it was erased on purpose. I don't know which, but somebody had once thought of it. It disappeared from history, but now I call it Wiseman's formula. And Wiseman's identity is simply that if you have 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, so 6 to the 5th power plus equal, let's just work it out. 6 to the 5th power equals 7776. That means 6 to the 5th power plus 1 equals 77. Can't even write. 7777. And that means if 6 to the 5th power plus 1 equals 7777, then 6 to the 5th power, I'm a very sloppy writer, 6 to the 5th power plus 1 divided by 7 equals 1111. I think that's interesting. That's Wiseman's identity. Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's a cool number. It has, let's just talk about it a little bit. It doesn't have any irrational or transcendental numbers. It doesn't have I or pi or e or square root of 5 or square root of 2 or square root of 3 or some weird numbers like that. It's all whole numbers. Maybe even natural numbers. I forget the difference. One of them has 0, one of them doesn't. But there's no 0, but there's only whole, integers. It has addition. It has not multiplication, but division, which is multiplication, because dividing by 7 is the same as multiplying by 1/7. So it's just the inverse operation of multiplication, which is still multiplication. And it has exponentiation. So it has all the 3 operations in math: addition, multiplication, and exponentiation. It's got 3 consecutive numbers, 5, 6, and 7, which is cool because 5 plus 6 plus 7 equals 18, which is one of my favorite numbers. And 18 is 666. It's also 12 and 6. It's an interesting number. So, and plus they're consecutive numbers. 5, 6, and 7 are consecutive integers. That's cool. And it has 5 ones. And they're separated by 1 by itself and 4 by itself. That reminds me of the human hand. 4 fingers, 1 thumb. And in fact, human fingers are called digits, and so are numbers. And in fact, digital refers to zeros and ones, which is binary, and 1 is one of the digits. So it's funny how you have 1 is called a digit in computers and in math, and yet it's also 1 and 4, which is like the thumb and fingers of a hand are also called digits. So I think it's interesting. Anyway, that's a recap of Wiseman, of my original discoveries or thoughts in thought or math or whatever you want to call it. And so I hope you enjoyed the video. Love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.